I think we are live. We are live. We are live. As long as I can get my angle right and where I'm supposed to be talking to. Listen, hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Hood Parenting Live. I am your host, Yashika Foster. And if this is your first time here, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm going to continue to get myself situated because, listen, like I always say, when I come here for the first time, if you're here for the first time, I always say when I come in, listen, I'm the engineer, I am the script, I'm the person that does everything. Okay, so when you are a one woman show, you have to make sure that you are first of all talking to where you're supposed to be talking, or talking to who you're supposed to be talking to, and you want to make sure your mic is on. You want to make sure everything is working and doing its thing. And so I'm going to check while I give people a couple of minutes to come in. There we go. I'm live, y'all. I'm live. I'm live. And if I could just keep myself looking right here at this here, whatchamacallit, then I would be good to go. Listen, I am coming up on almost a year as to when I started Hood Parenting Live, okay? And what I like about all this is the fact that I am able to see the growth of everything. You know, when you create your own channel and when you're doing your own thing, you're able to see the growth. You're able to see the fruits of your labor. And when I logged on today, I was so pleased to see that I am well over 550 subscribers. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And listen, if you are new here and you feel like this information can be something that can be passed down to other people, then by all means, go ahead and send them a link and invite them over to join me. And listen, and if they have questions or anything, you can always leave them at the bottom of the video or DM me personally at Hood Parenting on any of the social media sites or Yashika Foster. But you guys, listen, today's live is based on a live, or should I say a post that I did the other day on another site, right? And so the reason why I felt like this was necessary, because like I always tell people, when I am having messages or when I feel like things are talking to me, I know that the messages are not just for me. You know, I know that those messages are messages that's saying to me to share to the collective, to share to everybody. Or should I say share to the neighborhood, because we are hood parenting. And so share to the neighborhood. So all of my 500 plus and more followers to come, these are things that I share with people that follow me on all social platforms. So this week I kept hearing, be who you are going to be. Now I had to clean that up a little bit, okay? Because y'all know I will say be who you're gonna be. And that's not proper English, but I revised it and said, be who you are going to be. And as I kept on hearing that this week, it made me think about exactly what is it that meant. Why is it that this was a message that I kept on being told? And I didn't quite understand it because I've always been one of them people that I felt like I am like who I am. Like, in other words, I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and there's nothing else that I can do about it, right? And so let me drink a little tea. And so I always say I'm going to be who I am, and there's nothing else I can do about it. I can't pretend to be someone else. It's one of those things where I can't say, well, I am going to try to be something different. So when I think about the thing, when I thought about be who you're going to be and what I was being like guided to say this week, and I made the reel about it, it just made me really sit with it. And the more and more I talk to people, the more and more I realize that many people live in this bird cage. And I think a bird cage is the best way in which I can describe it. Okay. Because when you see a bird cage, you think about this bird being locked in this cage, but yet they can still see the outside. They can stick their head out of different holes in the bird cage to see the outside. They can go over here, see this side, they can go over there, see this side. But at the same time, they're still limited to where they can go because they're in this cage. And that's how sometimes I see people when people are, not embodying who they're going to be. Like, who are they going to be? And I think that the best way that I can tell this story is to tell the story of how I became hood parenting. Now, the how I met my coaches or whoever who decided that this was a good concept for me, it's a long story in itself. However, where I want to pick up from was where I was prior to hood parenting being developed. When I first started off in coaching, after I came out of the military, and then after I started to be, because I was at, well, you don't know, but I am a certified cosmetologist, licensed, cosmetologist and makeup artist. And so I knew that in my mind, those were the things that I was going to do. So I started doing those things. I started doing whatever it was. Then I went into, okay, I am going to use my degrees and go into more of coaching, right? Or because I didn't want to be a counselor, like by the definition, right? Have a license and have insurance and all that. I didn't want all that. I wanted to be able to be who I am and talk to people in a way where they will get the message. Because I understand that not everybody wants to hear the book answer to life. Not everybody wants to hear me open up the DSM-5 and tell them this is your diagnosis, because guess what? What I recognize, like, for example, things like broken hearts. Some people are tormented with a broken heart. And when they are tormented with a broken heart, they don't know how to move forward. And so, although they have signs of depression and things like that, at the root of that depression is a broken heart. Well, I use that for an example because that's something that you're not going to find in the DSM-5, right? Of course, you're going to find depression. You're going to find all those things that's associated with a broken heart, but you're not going to find a broken heart. And so I know that there are signs. I know that some things are not diagnosable, right? I know that some things you can't find in this DSM-5. And so for me, I knew that I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be someone that did not live in this box. And so, or this bird cage, shall I say. So when I started coaching initially, I was doing relationship coaching because my master's in marriage and family counseling. And then I was also doing veteran transition coaching. But it felt like there was a part of me that was still being hidden, because as a veteran, I felt like when I show up in my girl, right? When I show up in my girl, right? When I show up in my Yashikaism, there was a certain expectations, or shall I say, there was a certain image that people had regarding veterans, or shall I say, female veterans, that I felt like I could not fit that mold, because some things are not changeable, right? Some things just are what they are, right? And I don't have that kind of time, in my mind, unless it's something that I'm really, really passionate about. And I knew that those were things that I enjoyed doing, but it was not my passion. Why? Because being a veteran transition coach hindered me from doing certain things, just like me being a relationship coach hindered me from doing certain things, right? And so it's like I had to confine to these restrictions that I wasn't comfortable with. And so the more and more I went on with coaching, trying to get to where I'm at, then I went into um, coaching people when it came to being single, right? Coaching them into relationships, putting on singles events and things like that. But even that became where, okay, when I'm in a relationship, how does that look now when I'm talking about being single? Because in my mind, I'm going to get married one day. I'm going to get married again. And so would that be something that I would stay in longevity? And here's the thing, you can pivot at any time. That's one thing about being an entrepreneur. That's one thing about being what you want to be in this world. You can pivot and change your mind at any time. However, I also knew that for me to do that, for me to be able to do these things or be this relationship coach, there were too many things that I had to stop being, or shall I say, not put out there the way I wanted to. So I wanted something that encompassed all of me. Because for me, I am that girl from the streets of Detroit, right? And so because I am that girl from the streets of Detroit, I learned what it meant to be resilient. I learned what it meant to be street smart, right? I learned what it meant to take the things that we didn't have and be resourceful to get what we needed. I learned those kind of things. These are things that I learned because of where I was raised, because of my upbringing, because I was born into situations that people see as not very privileged, right? My mother was a teenage mother, my father was absent, and all the things. And so what I realized though is that that part of me exists. It exists with me while I was in the military. It exists with me in all aspects of my life. And so even when the military demanded me to restrain from certain things, there was still those parts of me that was pulling. But I also knew that I had a goal with the military, which was to get to the other side so that then I can afford to sit back, do what it is I'm supposed to do, which is my purpose in this world, and make sure that my overhead is taken care of. And so, in that aspect, there were things that I had to conform to, right? Because I knew that there was a bigger goal, right? We don't always get to do what we want to do in this world. Sometimes we do have to conform. We can't always run. When it's something that's bigger than what we want, then if it's something we're passionate about it, then we're going to do what we need to do to conform to it. And so that's how the military was for me. Although the military kept me in a box, the bigger prize, or should I say, the prize at the end was worth the sacrifice. And it's just that simple. The prize at the end, that's just like when we go to school, when we go to college, as a student, you're looking at it like, why do I have to study? Why do I have to write these papers? Why do I have to do all these things? But then once you get that degree in your hand, you then realize that it was all worth it. It was all for a reason. So you look back and say, okay, you know what? I wouldn't have had it any other way. And so that's how I see the military. And so being hood parenting allows me to encompass all of those things. It allows me to encompass the girl that I am, that was raised in Detroit, that part of me that knows resiliency, that knows, how to be resourceful, that knows struggle, that knows sacrifice, that knows those things, right? Even before I was old enough to vote. Okay. Even before I was old enough, you know what I mean? Like there's a girl that knew how to survive. So going into the military, that was that part of me. For those first 15 years of the military, I was an enlisted soldier. And in those 15 years, I was a drill sergeant. Then after that, I became an officer. So now I had to be a little bit more prim and proper than I would have been as an enlisted soldier or a drill sergeant. So as an officer, we have to be more, and so that allowed me to tap into that part of me that knew that I liked it, the prim and properness. I knew that I liked it this part because although I was from this area, there were still things that I did as a kid. And so again, this is me developing into hood parenting, right? This is me developing to the hood parenting. So now I'm able to bring in my fashion. I'm able to bring in the fact that I'm a licensed beautician and a makeup artist. I'm able to bring in these things and not spare it. Why? Because I'm teaching people, or shall I say, I'm showing people that who you are, be who you are going to be. All the things that you've been through in your life, all the things that you said, okay, why am I doing this? Why did this lead to here? It brings you to where you are supposed to be. And even if that's not your final spot, there's still things that's stacking up to get you to where you're supposed to be. So be who you're going to be. And I say that because I talk to people that I feel that are restraining themselves. I talk to people that I feel are living in those bird cages. And so when I think about that, I think about, okay, how do I give people that insight to say, listen, be who you're going to be? Because me saying it is just not enough, right? Me telling you to be who you're going to be is just not enough. But if I tell you the things that it helps you to do and the things that it helps you to overcome, or if I explain to you how not being the person that you're meant to be can hinder you, maybe then that way you can understand how detriment it is for you in this life to be who it is that you're going to be. First of all, when you know that you're going to be who you're going to be, you don't need any more proof about anything. Like I know for me to be able to sit here in this spot, even when I think about all of the things that I did that led up to where I am now as a coach. Me growing up in Michigan, me growing up in Detroit, me growing up in that environment, I knew that I would be tough enough to be able to survive the military in anything that the military threw at me. because I knew that I was resilient. Okay. I knew that. So I knew that anything that the military threw at me, I would be okay with it. And so for me, it was one of those things where I didn't need any more proof. So even when I was in the military, I would have people that would say things, right? And here's the thing, this is not just, just the military, because you're going to have this in all aspects of life. All right. And let me tell you, you're going to have it. And let me repeat that. When it comes to people trying to tell you who you are, it's not just the military. It's not just the military that will act like that with you. There will be people in your own family. There will be people that will be in the education system that will try to tell a kid who they're going to be. I've seen it. I've heard it. I've witnessed it. So what I'm saying to you is that this isn't just the military. The military just happened to be my experience, right? So what I mean by that is there were people who would tell me when I was a young soldier that I wouldn't do this and I wouldn't do that. You wouldn't make it. You're not going to make it past your first enlistment. They would say, when I came in the military, or they would tell me certain things. And here's the thing, those people weren't wrong at all. They weren't wrong about my behavior or my attitude about certain things, because I had this "you're not going to tell me anything" attitude. Why? Because of the environment that I was raised in. And so in my mind, I knew better. Now, was there instances in situations while I served in the military that I probably was right. I was right as opposed to them, although their rank may have outweighed me? Absolutely. There was tons of examples that I can give you. However, the military does have a structure. And so because it have a structure, as long as not anything that's unethical or dangerous or anything like that that goes against any of our books, then we have to do what we're told. But there will be times when I will look at things and be like, well, nope, I'm not doing it that way because I feel as though there's a better way to do it. And so because I felt like there was a better way to do certain things, there was just certain things that I didn't just easily go with. So I would be resilient. But what I do know is that I knew that I was tough enough to survive even those things. So when I did start to fall in, because nobody joins the military in the beginning just knowing how to act, how to behave. It's eventually ingrained in you. You're eventually molded into the way of the military as you stay in the longer. The longer you stay in, the more you start to become shaped. You become to be dressed right dressed. In other words, you look down and you pretty much see one soldier the way it's supposed to look, right? And so for me, I knew that my mentality, or shall I say my who I was going to be enough. So I didn't need to show any more proof. I didn't need to do, all I had to do was maintain myself and do what I needed to do. And so that's what I did. And so for me, that's why I say be who you're going to be. Be who you're going to be. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. Just you don't need anybody to validate you. Just be who you're going to be. And so for me, that of me being a soldier was in my heart. It was something that I knew that it was part of what I was going to do in life, because I decided at 12 that I was going to join the military. Now, it wasn't the Army, it was the Navy that I was going to join, but nevertheless, I knew at the age of 12 that I was going to join the military because it was my way out. That was it. It was my way out, and it allowed me to do multiple things. So, which means that not only was it my way out, but I could also use it to be able to go to college and to be able to do other things that needed to be done. And so for me, it had multiple effects to it, or multiple solutions to my problems. And so even if I didn't stay the whole 20 years to retirement, I knew that if I stayed even the first 4 years, that they would be beneficial to my life. At least it would give me a foundation. And so for me, my heart was there, and that's all I needed was that. I needed to. My heart. When I say my heart was there, that's all I needed. In other words, I knew that in my body, in my spirit, in my soul, that this was part of my life path. And because I knew this, there was nothing or no one that could take me off of it. Nobody could tell me anything. Nobody could tell me not to do it, because I felt like if it was something that I wasn't supposed to do, then it wouldn't happen. But for the most part, though, it happened, and I made it happen, and I got to the end of that area in my life where I'm able to now be able to be in this part where I'm reaping the benefits of that, right? I'm able to see the benefits. I am blessed, and I am beyond blessed to be able to see the benefits. But what I do know is that no one could tell me anything. I didn't need anybody to tell me that you're gonna make it. It was one of those things where I knew I would make it because my heart was there, right? I didn't need more proof. All I had to do was do what was told to do. So in other words, there's a checklist. You go to school, you do this, you do that, and I followed the plan because they said it's a plan. There's a roadmap, and I followed it, and it was just that simple. So for me, that's all it was. And so when you don't do what you're told to do or what you're meant to do, after a while, it starts to eat you up in the inside, right? And so again, here's what I do know. When you're not following that purpose in your life or following what it is that you know you're supposed to be or that person that you're going to be, your heart knows it first. In other words, it's like your heart and your mind betrays one another. It's almost like that thing where you're supposed to be doing something, but you don't know what it is. And so it's like you can feel it. And so for me, I've always known that this part of my life was supposed to happen. This part of my life is going to happen. Like this part of my life where I am in a teaching mode and showing and illustrating and demonstrating and letting people know that this isn't easy and being honest and transparent and going through the struggle and going through it and showing people what's possible. Like all these things that hood parenting is, right? All the things that hood parenting is. Because what I do know is that I'm not the same parent I was when I first became a parent at 22, and I am now a 52-year-old parent. I'm not the same parent. But what I also know is that for me to get here, I had to go through trials and tribulations. And so as we go through those trials and tribulations, sometimes we bring those lessons with us. And unfortunately, a lot of times we don't talk to our kids or talk to the younger generation and explain to them how we got here, right? Talk about those things that we had to overcome. And so this is how hood parenting comes into play to allow you to see that, listen, there's no one way, there's no one size fit all. But when you go and you follow what's in here, it won't betray you because the heart knows first. And so when you lead with the heart and you follow and you go to be the person that you are going to be, trust me, the heart knows because the mind will start to catch up, right? Because in the beginning, the heart and the mind, like I said, they're betraying one another, but after a while they become one because you can feel it. It's like you can feel it, right? Because even then your ego no longer suffers from doubt. You know that you are doing what it is that you are supposed to do. When you are being the person that you are supposed to be, when you are not living in that cage. And here's the thing about that cage, what I've discovered. A lot of times, that cage that we're in is not even ours. No, it's not even ours. It's something, or shall I say, a cage that belonged to someone else that they have put on us or passed down to us. hmm Sit with that one for a minute. hmm A lot of times, that's what it is. It's a cage that's either put onto us or passed down to us. It's just that simple. It doesn't even belong to us. Because if you ask yourself, who am I outside of these barriers? If I let this part of me show, because here's the thing, I know kids, for example, or people that will behave one way in one environment and act another way in another environment. Now I'm not saying like we're not going to sit here and talk about corporate America versus when you're with your family at the barbecue. I'm not talking about those type of differences. I'm talking about being who you are to your core. Being who you are to your core. Like in other words, when it comes to your morals, your values and things like that, that should never be compromised. That should never be altered. That should never be adjusted, right? Who you are to your core. And so when we talk about that thing right there, I know people who are still trying to figure that part out because why? They're carrying so much other things of who they're told that they're supposed to be, as opposed to being who they're going to be or who they want to be. And when we live in that life, are we really living our life or are we living the life for someone else? And that's the question we have to ask ourselves, right? Because sometimes some of us, we're not working from our place or our heart because we feel that if we do that, then we're going to lose some things. We're going to lose somebody. We're going to lose some people. We feel like not everyone's going to come with us. People's not going to understand. We're not going to feel accepted. We have all these things that show up that we're waiting on people to tell us that it's okay. We're waiting on people to say, hey, you can do that. Mm. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to come. Especially if people think that you are going to do something that they are too afraid to do, they're not going to give you permission to do it. Instead, they're going to tell you why it's not going to happen. They're going to tell you the obstacles. They're not going to give you solutions. They're going to tell you the obstacles of how this thing can't happen. But what I do know is that when you are walking and when you are doing what it is that you're supposed to do, and when you are being the person that you are supposed to be, all that's just gibberish. Now, I'm not saying that in this world that people are not sent to you for messages, because that's true. Sometimes people are meant to send you a message, but that's when you use your own discernment to figure out, hey, is this message to help me or to hurt me? Is this message to help me or to stall me? You have to use your discernment. Only you know the difference between what's good for you and what's bad for you. It's almost like that thing that I used to ask people a long time ago. How do you know the difference between when you're given a sign and when the devil's at play? Like, how do you know the difference? Because sometimes the sign can look like the devil don't want you to be happy, right? And so it's like someone told me, you have to use your discernment. You have to use your discernment because it's who you walk with. If you walk with the creator, then you know who's talking to you. And it's just that simple. And so when it comes to walking in your purpose and doing what it is that you're supposed to do, when you're doing that and your heart is aligned with it, there's nothing anybody can say to you. There's nothing. There's nothing anyone can say to you. There's nothing. There's no proof that you need. There's no more validation that you need from over here. There's no more clapping that you need that someone that's used to give you. All you need to do is take action. That's it. Because if your heart is telling you to do it, then this is your permission to take out the trash, right? It's just that simple. Take out the trash. If your heart is telling you to move and you're aligning with the person that you know you are meant to be or who are you are going to be, we can't worry about anybody. We can't worry about their opinions. We can't worry about anything when it comes to other people. And sometimes I know that the path to our forever self sometimes get a little clouded, get a little, am I on the right path, right? Sometimes we question that. And someone told me sometimes, right, you'll be amazed if you take a moment and you look at the signs around you. Every now and then you will see a ram in a bush or a little trinket that's put along your way to let you know that you're on the right path, right? But you got to do the work. No matter what you do, in order to make sure that your heart and everything about you aligns, forget what proofing needed. You have to do the work with self. And when you do the work with self, and that's something that's so much more than this 30-minute live or whatever. You have to do the work with self. And when you are doing the work with self, trust me when I tell you, you will automatically start to walk in the person that you are to be, the person that you're meant to be. And it's just that simple. So you've already completed all the things you needed to do. Okay. Everything that you're trying to do is not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable. When you feel the most uncomfortable is when things are going to start to happen. Trust me when I tell you that. When you feel the most uncomfortable, because you know in your heart of hearts that you are walking in your purpose, you are doing what it is that you are meant to do. You're going to get uncomfortable. It might get lonely. It's going to get scary. All of that is going to happen. But what you don't need any more of is proof because you already know in your heart. So you're going to follow it. You're going to lead with that. Pay attention to the signs. You'll know it. So listen, I don't know who this is for, but I always know that this is for somebody because they told me to tell y'all. And so listen, you don't need no more proof to go off and do what you got to do. Be who you are going to be. That's it. That's all. Right? We get one shot at this thing called life. We don't have time to be waiting on somebody to tell us, go, stop, go, pause, wait a minute, don't do it, go left, go. Nope, you ain't got time. You decide. You decide. So if you somebody who has been waiting for a sign, this is your sign right here. This is your sign right here. So go ahead and put a put a raise hand down below if I'm talking to you. Go ahead and drop a comment down below if I'm talking to you. And if you need any more things, then go ahead and run this whole video back again, because if you miss something, I'm talking to you. You don't need any more proof. You don't need any more validation. You don't need anything. What does your heart tell you? And if your heart tell you to move and align with who you are, so that way you don't leave any of you behind and you let that bird free out of that cage, honey, you'll be amazed of what happens. Right? And so again, listen, this is Hood Parenting, and this is Hood Parenting Live. And if this is your first time here, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe and share this video and recommend it to somebody who you think might need a little bit more hood parenting. Because see, here right here is what I do. This isn't about me raising kids. This is not what hood parenting is. This is me helping you to understand that when you were being raised, it was about survival. So now how do you learn how to take those survival skills and thrive with them? Because it's all part of you. All of you are, all the things you've been through in your life is meant for you to use in some kind of way. And how do you use those things? Don't leave none of you behind. Bring all of you to the table. All of you get to show up. Don't leave any of you behind, and don't leave any of you in the cage. All right? And so listen, again, if this is your first time here, come back next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and catch me again on Hood Parenting Live. And so listen, refer this to somebody and share this video, and I will talk to you guys in the next live. Bye.